Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, what is the fight against the climate change? It is a joint effort by governments, organizations and associations to make the world a better place for all species. The more we unite for the sake of the goal, the more effective our efforts are. In Ukraine we say, one is not a soldier in a battlefield. It takes the efforts of the majority. One country or organization cannot save the world from the climate crisis. But on the contrast, one country can lead to destruction. One country can destroy the efforts of the majority. Russia's war is undoing the many years of work of the civilized world. There are billions of dollars in investments and efforts of dozens of countries. Only in the United States, investments in climate action amounted to 42 billion euros in 2023. It is almost 60% more than in 2021. Last year, Germany spent more than 177 billion euros in 3 years climate protection and energy transformation measures. 314 billion euros by 2030, it is a number of investments in climate measures announced by South Korean government and local banks in March in this year. At the same time, what does the Russian war means for the climate? It is an additional 180 million tons of CO2. This emission from the war in Ukraine are equal to the amount of emission of the whole Malta for 80 years. At the same time, almost 52 million tons of CO2 from military operations, 17 million tons from energy infrastructure, 27 million tons from fires, 3 million tons from the movement of internally displaced persons and refugees, 4 million tons of greenhouse gas from increased fuel consumption by airlines due to the flight ban over the territory of Belarus and Russia. This year, almost 12,000 hectares of forest have been destroyed by fires in Ukraine due to the hostilities and explosions. This is 500,000 tons of carbon emission. This is what the Russians are doing on our land today. With the burning forest, we not only get additional emission into the atmosphere, we lost the ability to absorb greenhouse gases in future. This emission wouldn't have existed in peacetime. And these 180 million tons are not the final number. The figures are growing as the war continues. And it is difficult to suppress fires because of mines. Therefore, demining is also a potential challenge for Ukraine. After all, 25% of our country is still covered with mines. Their explosion also causes an increase of CO2. We have devastating consequences due to the blowing up of the Kakhovka Dam. The water we lost was a natural cooler for a planet. Today, this place continues to experience challenges and deepen the efforts of the climate crisis. The process of shifting climate zone continues due to the hostilities. Everything the world has invested in and worked hard for years is being destroyed. Nevertheless, Ukraine continues to fulfill its unprecedented mission of calculating the environmental damage caused by the war in order to issue a carbon bill to Russia and achieve sustainable peace. This is one of the key components of peace formula of Volodymyr Zelensky, and it is 8-point on environmental safety. Russian aggression has added new challenges to the global climate track, but our climate goals remain unchangeable. We have a plan and understand the key stages of its implementation. We are actively developing the Ukraine's climate policy. We work closely with the European Commission on this regard. Ukraine has already introduced a number of initiatives. They establish a framework for state climate governance in our legislation. We have adopted the climate change strategy until 2035 and a plan for its implementation in 2024-2026. We expect the framework climate law to be adopted by the Parliament of Ukraine in the nearest future. This is the basis for further development of climate policy. Last year, with the support of EU and Germany, we opened a climate office in Kyiv, developed an ETS implementation strategy. It is now undergoing public discussion. The launch of the system will allow Ukraine to join the European ETS and make sure that we are within the boundaries in the CBAM. The Ministry of Environmental Protection and Natural Resources plans to launch it in a pilot mode in 2025, so that the ETS will be fully operated in 2026. All of this means new opportunities for development and new avenues for innovation, investments and markets. The transition to climate neutrality is an irreversible process that involves all spheres of life. We are ready to cooperate with every country. We want to be a participant in the carbon market. All the countries that are currently ready to cooperate with Ukraine under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement are also involved to its green recovery. Ukraine is capable of achieving its goal. According to the European Commission, in the last year of the war alone, we have done exactly as much on the path to European integration as we did in the 7 years before. Reconstruction is not something that should be waited for after the war. It is happening right now and it's giving the results right now. We highly appreciate the fact that from the very first day we have had the support of the entire civilized world. We have a lot of friends and like-minded people who help us to survive and who are walking this difficult but very necessary path with us. Today, it is important to understand that the climate issue is closely linked to military defense. First of all, defense from the Russia state. Not only are our efforts important, not only European directives, not only funding green technologies, but we all must think about defense. If there is no military protection, everything we are talking about will be leveled by another aggression with imperial ambitions. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine!